Right, today we're going to reflect on SD 49.7, Chapter 7, Vepula Pabatta Sutta, the discourse on Mount Vepula. Vepula is the name of the mountain, it means abundant. Pabatta can mean mountain, rock, cliff, hill, and Sutta means thread, in the sense of teaching. And this is the reference number is S15.20. That means Sangyutta, chapter 15, Sutta 20. Now the third line is the word theme. The theme is a reflection on the fact that human life is very short. So here the reflection is on a mountain, and the Buddha uses this mountain in India, which is a real place in the Buddha's time, and it goes on to use some past knowledge of his to show how in the past this mountain was very much higher, and then in the time of the past Buddhas, the Buddhas of this world cycle, as we call it. In our world cycle, this is called the fortunate eon, or fortunate world period, Bhadra Kalpa, or in Sanskrit Bhadra Kalpa, because there are four Buddhas, three of whom have arisen, and the next one is yet to come. So here the Buddha is telling us in the past how high this mountain was, and then gradually the mountain became lower, and after that the kind of to show the impermanence of life, in other words. So here the Buddha talks about the four periods, that is the time of Kakusanda Buddha, Konagamana Buddha, Kassapa Buddha, and of course our own Gautama. Right, the translation starts on page 68. The discourse on Mount Vepula, as 15.20. Section 1. At one time the Blessed One was staying on Mount Vulture's Peak outside Rajgaha. Now this place is still there in India. The mountain, it's a hill actually, but the top is not, it's a small space there now. There the Blessed One addressed the monks. Bhikshus, Badante, the monks replied to the Blessed One. The Blessed One said this. So this is where the teaching starts. The moment you see the line, the Blessed One said this, that means the teaching starts there. This is the key idea on which the Buddha would elaborate in the rest of the text. So the Buddha says, this samsara, the cycle of lives and death, or cycle of rebirths and re-deaths, is without a knowable beginning, without a discoverable beginning. In other words, you cannot find the beginning of this cycle of life and death, because the Indian concept of time, the Asian concept of time is cyclic. Time goes round and round, without beginning, without end. So when we see the clock is round, the face of the clock is round, the numbers going around. There's no beginning, no end. So the Buddha continues and says, a first beginning is indiscernible of beings wandering and flowing on, hindered by ignorance, fettered by craving. So here, in other words, we cannot really say when all this process began, because what really pushes us on are two things, ignorance and craving. Ignorance is a kind of blindness, so this blind person doesn't know where to go, and craving is lame. So it's this lame person who can see but can't move, so he climbs on the shoulders of ignorance and tells ignorance where to go. So there's a very beautiful analogy of these two aspects of our negative emotions, which kind of guide us, causing us a lot of suffering and pain. So this is the thesis, okay? Then the Buddha continues, the Buddha now elaborates the meaning of that. basic idea. In the past, bhikshus, Mount Vepula was called Pachina Vangsa, Eastern Bamboo. At that time, bhikshus, there was a people called Tivara. So here we have, the Buddha is pointing to the same mountain. He says, okay, look at this mountain, this hill. Now we call it Vepula, but a long time ago it was called Pachina Vangsa. And the people, there were a different race of people, or different group of people called Tivara. And the lifespan of the people at that time, this was in the time of the first Buddha in our world period, was 40,000 years. So this is a very long time. Their bhikshus could climb Mount Pachinavangsa in 4 days and descend in 4 days. So here the idea is to show this mountain was huge at that time. 4 days to climb, 4 days to come down. And then the Buddha continues, at that time, bhikshus, the Blessed One is the Buddha, Kakusandha, and Arahat, fully self-awakened, had arisen in the world. His two chief disciples, fortunate pair, were named Vidura and Sanjiva. Okay, in short, today we have the name Sanjiv, this is the one, okay? So this is the two chief disciples of the first Buddha in our world period. Kakusandha is the Buddha. Section 6. But see, bhikshus, so here the Buddha is pointing out an irony. So it's okay, here's the mountain, and this is the name of the mountain. It goes back to this Buddha's time, and there are this group of people, and they lived for so long, and they took so long to climb this mountain. So now the Buddha says, but see, bhikshus, the name of this mountain has disappeared. Those people have died or died out. And that Blessed One has attained final nirvana. So the Buddha too has passed away. Now comes the reflection, section 7. So impermanent bhikshus are formations. Formations refers to whatever we experience, created by our mind, created by our speech, created by our actions, whatever we see around us. They're called formations. So unstable bhikshus are formations. We can generally take the formations as things around us, if you like. So unreliable bhikshus are formations. So this is a reflection on impermanence, the instability of things, the unreliability of life itself. Just for this, bhikshus, it is enough to be revulsed towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to want to be free from them. Right? So the Buddha says if you reflect in this way, we're talking about this mountain which is so old and so long ago. And all these people who lived so long ago, their lives are so long, and there was this Buddha, and this mountain is so high, it takes 4 days to climb. And all these have changed. If you reflect in this way, you tell yourself, wow, look at life, it's changing, it's so unreliable. It's enough not to be tricked by it. This word revulse is a very strong word. In other words, we no more want to be tricked by it. We know it is all changing and permanent. It's just like we touch something hot, let's say a hot plate, and we got burnt, and we're not going to touch it again. We say, no, I know it's going to burn me, I'm not going to touch it anymore. That's the meaning of revulsion, a sense of knowing the real nature of things, and we do not want to be cheated by it, so to speak. Now, then this is the second part. The same mountain but different name. In the past, bhikshus, Mount Vepula was called Wangkaka. Wangkaka means crooked or bent. At that time, bhikshus, there was a people called Rohitasa. So this is a new generation. In other words, this is the next generation. It's a new group of people. The lifespan of the Rohitasa people, bhikshus, was 30,000 years. So it's kind of shorter now. Okay? Previously it was 40,000, now it's 30,000. Their bhikshus could climb Mount Wangkaka in 3 days and descend in 3 days. Here the idea is that the mountain has subsided. It's kind of become lower, eroded if you like. At that time, bhikshus, the Blessed One, Kona, Gamana, and Arahat, fully self-awakened, had a reason in the world. His two chief disciples, the fortunate pair, were named Biyosa and Uttara. But see bhikshus, so here's the reflection again, okay? But see bhikshus, here bhikshus means anyone, even us now who are listening. The Buddha is addressing us, he says, see, the name of this mountain has disappeared. Previously it was called Pachinavangsa, now it's called Wangaka. And the name has changed. These people have died, and the Blessed One, the Buddha too, has attained final nirvana. So now comes the reflection. So impermanent bhikshus are formations, so unstable bhikshus are formations, so unreliable bhikshus are formations. Well, we can just simply say impermanent is life, unstable is life, unreliable is life. So then the Buddha reminds us, if you reflect in this way, you would let go of all these things. Just for these bhikshus, it is enough to be revolved towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to want to be free from them. Now comes the third cycle, the third section, same mountain, this time another Buddha's period, another Buddha's time. Section 15. In the past, bhikshus, Mangvepula was called Supassa. Su means good, fair, beautiful. Passa means sight. So you can translate as fair sight. At that time, bhikshus, there was a people called Suppiya. So this time there's a new group of people, a new race of people by the name of Suppiya. In Sanskrit, this will be Supriya. The lifespan of the Suppiya people, bhikshus, was 20,000 years. So there you are, from 40,000 to 30,000, now it's 20,000 years. They, bhikshus, could climb Mount Supassa in 2 days and descend in 2 days. Meaning the mountain is even lower still at that time. At that time, bhikshus, the Blessed One Kassapa was the Buddha. So Kassapa, as we know, is the Buddha just before our own Buddha. And his two chief disciples, Kassapa Buddha's two chief disciples, they were called Tissa and Bharadwaja. But see, bhikshus, reminds the Buddha, the name of the mountain has disappeared, these people have died, and that Blessed One has attained final nirvana. So all these things have passed away. So impermanent bhikshus are formations. So unstable bhikshus are formations. So unreliable bhikshus are formations. Just for this, bhikshus, it is enough to be revolved towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to want to be free from them. Now then comes the last cycle, and this is in our present time. Section 21. Now bhikshus, the Mount Vepula is called Vepula, meaning abundant. Now bhikshus, there are a people called Magadha. This was the time of the Buddha. The lifespan of the Magadha people, bhikshus, is short, brief, fleeting. Those who live long live but 100 years or a little more. But bhikshus, bhikshus can climb Mount Vepula in a moment and descend in a moment. In other words, it's a hill now. And now, bhikshus, so this is the Buddha, and Arahat, fully self-awakened, have a reason in the world. My two chief disciples, the fortunate pair, are named Sariputta and Moggallana. But see, bhikshus, the name of this mountain has disappeared. Those people have died, and that Blessed One, Kassapa, has attained final nirvana. So impermanent bhikshus are formations, so unstable bhikshus are formations, so unreliable bhikshus are formations. Just for these bhikshus, it is enough to be revolved towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards all towards them enough to want to be free from them. Then the Buddha continues towards, this is the closing section, it's a sort of a prediction, future so to speak. 27. There will come a time, bhikshus, when this very Vepula will be destroyed, and these people will die, and I too will attain final nirvana. So impermanent bhikshus are formations, so unstable bhikshus are formations, so unreliable bhikshus are formations. Just for these bhikshus, it is enough to be revulsed towards all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to want to be free from them. So the main teaching finishes there, and the Buddha concludes with 2 verses by way of summary. The Blessed One said this. Having said this, the well-gone Sugata, the teacher, further said, Pachina wangso tiwaranang rohitasana wangkako supiyan nang supasoti magadanan jawepulo. For the Tiwara it was called Pachina Vangsa, for the Rohitasa Wangkaka, for the Supya Supasa, and for the Magadas Vepula. Anicca vata sankhara upadaya dhammino upajitva nirucchanti te sang upasamo sukho ti. Impermanent, alas, are formations. It is their nature to rise and fall. Having a reason, they cease to be. Happy it is when they are stilled. This last verse is very famous, because this is the verse that's recited at every funeral. When someone's passed away, this is the key reflection on impermanence. So the last line says, happy it is when they are still. This is nirvana. In other words, our life, our daily life, if you like, goes up and down, up and down. There's this cycle. We die, we are reborn, we die, we are reborn. There's no end to it. So when all this becomes peaceful, that is nirvana. It's like you see this, when it rains, the waters on the lake is trouble, you don't see any reflection in it. Then when the rain stops, it's a very beautiful day, you can see reflection on the water, you can even see through the water itself. Everything has become still and calm. So this is the vision of nirvana, of total peace. Of course, nirvana can also, we can have a good idea of what nirvana is even right now. When we are free from anger, when we overcome negative emotions, those emotions have gone nowhere. Even right now, we are at peace with ourselves. We can say this is an idea of nirvana, how peaceful it is. Only thing, it is just a quick glance, it's an impermanent image. But this peacefulness gives us a good idea of what nirvana, much more than this, is nirvana. So this is a sutta for us to reflect. We see tall buildings, and then we see these buildings being knocked down and new buildings, taller still, are being made, and people here dig even underground and so on, and everything changes over time. A few more years you come, you might not be able to even recognize the city. Everything changes. So this is the kind of reflection that the Buddha is giving here in this Vepula Babata Sutta. Now we'll close with a short reflection to highlight this wonderful moment. We have come together once again in peace to look into our hearts, into the Buddha's teaching, reminding us of the blessings that we now have, especially we are still in contact with the Buddha's teaching of peace and awakening. And still we should not take it for granted. We have to practice, we have to cultivate our minds to continue to be even more peaceful until we are totally free from all sources of suffering. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. But the power of such karma, may we be empowered with courage and wisdom to aspire to attain at least stream winning, the very first step on the path of awakening in this life itself. By the same token, by the goodness of the three jewels, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones. May they be well, may they be happy. To people who have been kind and supportive of us, may they be well and happy. And to those who are seeking the truth and practicing the Dharma too. And also let us send out our loving kindness to all those who are struggling to find the truth, who have difficulties with the truth. May they be free from their ignorance and delusion in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.